Hello, everyone, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening in your part of the world. We are thrilled to have you here today. My name is Kimberly, and I'm the Academic Advisor at Hospitality Academy, and I'm delighted to be hosting today's guest lecture featuring the esteemed Suzanne Fahmy. Thank you for joining us. As we wait just a few more seconds, Suzanne, how are you today?
I'm good. Kimberly, how are you? Very excited for today's lecture.
Yes, I'm very excited. We've been waiting for this, and I know a lot of the people who are joining us today have also, have been anticipating your lecture because of the great knowledge that you're going to be sharing with us today. So we're very excited, and thank you for being here. We're going to give you maybe about 30 more seconds, and then we will begin.
Sure.
Okay, I can see that we have a good amount of people in our guest lecture today. So now we have more people, let's get started. Greetings again to everyone and welcome to our guest lecture. Suzanne, an experienced guest lecture manager and passionate hotelier, is here to share her expertise on achieving harmonious work-life balance. Throughout the presentation, we encourage your active participation by answering questions through the poll feature at the bottom of your screen. So you'll see a poll and a little window will pop up, and we encourage you to participate. You can also share your feedback or ask questions in the chat box. Suzanne will answer these at the end. And now, without further ado, I'll hand the virtual floor over to Suzanne as she takes us through the art of balancing your personal and professional life.
Thank you, Kimberly. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where in the world you are. I'm very excited to be with all of you today. My name is Suzanne Fahmy. I'm an Egyptian hotelier. I was born and raised in Egypt, and I moved to the States when I was 16 in 2013. Today's topic is very dear to my heart, and I'm sure it's very dear to everyone's heart because we've all been stuck in an area where we can't balance both our professional and personal life. And I've struggled with this for so many years, and I'm going to let you know exactly how I got over it. And I'll give you a little bit of keys and my magic trick on how to achieve this amazing balance. Kim, if we can go to the next slide, please. We're going to start with a small question first, and you can answer it in the poll that's under you. So I know many of you right now are in uni, and depending on the year you're in, some of you are having part-time jobs, some of you maybe full-time jobs. So I just want to get a little bit of a feel of how many people actually feel like they have a good balance between their personal and professional life at the moment. Ooh, all right. Okay. Okay, so I can see that most of you, and about 70%, answered the question with no. So they don't feel like they have a good balance, and it's not a shock, and it's not weird, and it's not abnormal. It's completely normal. And we all struggle, and it's never going to be a perfect balance 100% all of the time. Okay, maybe the yeses are a little bit, they're better than what I expected. 28% of you answered yes. So good for you. That's amazing. I've only achieved this balance this past year. So I'm just going to give you a quick brief about myself. Where I am now, how I got to the job that I have today, what's the balance that I have, what's the secret. So I moved to the States when I was 16. I took my last year of high school there, and then I moved to the University of South Florida in Tampa, where I studied hospitality management and business management as a minor. And I jumped right in. I said, there's no point in wasting time. Let's work at the same time as we're studying. So I started working in a small family-owned business. It was a small restaurant, Italian restaurant, very tiny, but I had no idea what I was doing. So I was I just started uni. It's not my country. It's not my culture. And I'm working with people who know exactly what they're doing. And here I am not knowing anything at all. It was a part-time job. I learned a lot from this job. And I think I felt a little bit overwhelmed most of the time, because I was always trying to get home on time so I could spend time with the family, and then also get to lectures on time so I don't waste my grades, but also get to work and try to learn something and prove to them that they didn't just hire someone who doesn't know anything. And then I jumped from this job to Starbucks, and Starbucks is an amazing school for customer service and employee recognition. And they have an amazing, amazing HR that teaches you how to do a work-life balance. And at Starbucks, I was also part-time and I was studying at the same time. And then I left Starbucks and I just jumped from one place to the other. And then I got this amazing opportunity to do an internship at Hilton Grand Vacations, the corporate office. But of course, life just doesn't like me like that. So the corporate office was in a different city. I lived in Tampa, Florida, and the corporate office was in Orlando, Florida, which I know most of you are not in the States. So that's an hour and a half without traffic on the highway, and maybe 2 hours from Tampa to Orlando if there is traffic, which of course, because my luck is amazing, there's always traffic. So I said, but you know what, Sue, this is an amazing fast track for your portfolio. And if you add this on your resume, it's going to be great. So just suck it up and get to work. And I decided to take most of my lectures online. But there are certain lectures that I couldn't take online that I had to take in class on campus. So I started doing this trip every single day. I would wake up at 5 a.m., get in my car and drive to work in this other city so I can get there at 8. And then I would work from 8 till 2 or 8 to 4, depending on the day and depending on the lectures that I had. And then head back on that same road and go back to Tampa, where I lived, and maybe take a class or two at night if they were obligatory. And then, at a certain point, I said, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, literally, my whole life is about me getting up early, going to work, and then getting back on time so I can go to my lectures. My friends were always nagging me and telling me, you don't have time for us, you're not spending time with us, you're not sitting with us. I would miss life events like a wedding or a birthday or something that's very important to me that I cannot bring back. And so I said, you know what, something has to change. I can't keep working like this. The balance is obviously like that, and my work is here and my personal life is below the ground. So I said, you know what, let's try to figure this out. Let's do something different. But of course, the minute I decided to do something different, they decided to extend my internship and to give me a raise. And this is going to happen to every single one of you. I can guarantee you 100% that you're going to get in this cycle where, the hamster, when they get in this little circle and they just keep running and running around themselves. It's the exact same. So you're going to be the hamster in the wheel, and then you're going to say, oh, this is my peak. Now I'm going to move. I'm going to move from this job. I'm going to start making time for myself and my personal life. And then you're going to find yourself right back in the wheel. And it goes on and on and on. But it doesn't have to be like that. Because after this internship, I left them and I said, you know what, I need to focus on my studies and my uni, and I barely have time to see my friends. My family at the time had moved back to Egypt. So I had barely any time to hang out with my friends or chill, or to even talk to my parents and my family in Egypt. So I left Hilton and I said, now I put my foot down and we're going to try to find something that matches my current priorities. And so I went to another restaurant. It was called Ceviche in the downtown Tampa, and I was just a hostess. And on my CV, it made absolutely no sense for me to leave Hilton, a corporate office where, this is me fast tracking my career, and to go to a hostess job in a small restaurant. but no one should decide what matters for you or what works for you, because only you know if you can balance it out and have all your priorities set straight on one side and have a good personal life and also a good professional life and a plan for your career. So yes, it didn't make sense for a lot of people. And most of my mentors said, you know, what the hell are you doing, Sue? You're in a great position. Now you're going to go back to being a hostess. And honestly, it was the best 4 months of uni because I had time to go out and see my friends. I had time to talk to my family. I was acing my lectures and I had time to relax and take care of myself. So I have a lot of hobbies. I love reading and I love traveling and I love going to the beach and I love tanning and swimming. And all of these take time and effort to achieve. Most of you, everyone has a hobby. And most of you, your hobbies are probably going to be time consuming as well. And you're going to find yourself in a position where you have to give up something. And yes, it's okay to give up one thing, one time, 2 times, 3 times maybe, but it's not okay to throw off the balance completely because you're focusing on one thing and you're completely forgetting this other thing. So anyways, back to the road trip that I took. So I left the hostess job and then they contacted me again, Hilton, the corporate office, and they said, you know, we know you're graduating in a semester, so we want to offer you a full-time position. And the position was a client relations specialist. And I got into this career and into this major because I love talking to people. I love socializing. I love meeting new people from new cultures, and I love solving problems. So I said, oh my God, like, this is amazing. This is gold. Yes, where do I sign? And I had 1 semester left. I said, you know, how hard can it be? 1 semester with a full-time job, it's fine. I can do it. Now, the problem is some of the classes that I had to take last semester were in Sarasota, which is an hour from Tampa. And now if this is the map, this is Tampa, this is Sarasota, and then this is Orlando. So I had to go again on this whole road trip, but now instead of 2 hours or an hour and a half, it was 3 hours and 3 hours and a half. But I said, Sue, it's just a semester. You're going to be fine. There's nothing to worry about. I think I lost about 6 kilos to 9 kilos during my first internship and my second full-time job at Hilton. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, oh my God, like, what am I doing with myself, with my life, with my health? This is so not worth it. But I was already in it. And you may have heard this expression, which is atrocious to mental health, where people tell you, oh, but you're not a quitter. Oh, but they're going to call you a quitter. You can't quit now. You've already signed up. You can't give up now. Absolutely no one in this world, no matter how respected he is or she is in your eyes, if it's the nicest mentor you've ever had, if it's the person you look up to your whole life, no one can decide what's good for you except for you. And if we go to the next slide, Kim, I'm going to tell you the how. So this was with the time that I was in this internship. Yes, I didn't get any sleep most of the time, but I wanted to prioritize my friends and family as well as my work. And at the beginning of the job, I would take up every single shift that was available. You know, oh, this person is not coming. It's fine. I'll come in. Oh, you need me extra time. That's fine. I have nothing to do. You need me to cancel one of my offs? Yeah, that's fine. I'll be there. Yes, it helps. Yes, it expedites your career. But this is not how it works in the corporate world. And it's not how it works in real life. And if you give everything you have, if you give 200% without them asking and without them noticing that you're giving 200%, you're going to continue doing this for the rest of your career in this specific company. So you need to understand that there are limits and there are limitations to what you can do, what you can achieve, and how good of a balance you can create by limiting certain aspects of your life and certain aspects of your professional life specifically. So after this year, the full-time job with Hilton Grand Vacation, I decided to go back to Egypt, my homeland. And I said, now is the perfect time for me to create this amazing balance that I've been dreaming about, because I'll be next to family. It's my hometown. I know everything. I know the culture. There's nothing weird about me hanging out with friends and family because everyone does it in Egypt. And of course, I was shocked again because I was offered an MIT position, which is a manager in training position. And on a side note, this is an amazing program that you should definitely sign up to if you have the chance. I signed up with 4 Seasons, and at the time I was living in Alexandria, which is a city in Egypt. And I signed up for this program thinking, I'm a manager in training. It's in the title, in training. So that means I have time off, I have weekends off, I can travel, I get to go on vacations. But of course, they stress you out very much because this program expedites about 4 years of your career in a hotel. So instead of you starting as a receptionist and maybe getting promoted 2-3 years after to being a supervisor, and then 2 years after that to being an assistant manager, and then a year after that to becoming a manager, they expedite this whole process. And it's an 18 months program where you pick a division. You either pick food and beverage or rooms division, and you go through every single department in this division, and then you graduate and you automatically become an assistant manager. So for them, we're investing so much time and effort into teaching you and training you for you to become an assistant manager in 18 months. So you have to give it your all. And they made sure that, I knew that. So of course I gave it my all because that's just what I do. And I decided, let me just put the balance on the side for now. We're going to get to that later. And I'm just going to solely focus on this job and do everything I can in my power to show them that they made the right decision and that I can be an assistant manager in 18 months. And so the balance was completely thrown off. There was no balance. Let me be very honest with you. There was zero balance. There was zero personal life. I was always at work. I was working extra. I was staying after my shift so I can learn maybe from other people what they do and what they can give me as hints and little magic tricks. And then COVID came. So Corona, everyone is freaking out. We're shutting down the hotel. You guys are staying home. No one is coming to work. And I'm not on a full-time job. I'm still a manager in training. So for me, this is horrible because I'm in a program that ends in 18 months and then I get to graduate, and I want to get through with it. And of course, we all went through a horrible time when we had COVID. And they told me, okay, Sue, listen, this is very hard for us to say, but your MIT is going to have to be prolonged because now you're going to stay at home for 2 months. And then when you come back, business is not going to pick up right away. So instead of 18 months, you're going to stay for 2 years in the MIT program. And I was like, I have no option. I have no answer to that. Of course, I'll stay. I haven't done all of that just to quit now. I'm not a quitter. So I graduated from my MIT, thank God. And then I was promoted to become a hotel assistant manager at 4 Seasons Alexandria. And then we had a new resort opening on the other side. So it's a city hotel, and then there's a tunnel underground that leads you to the resort side, right on the beach. Beautiful, magnificent, only 31 suites. And at the time, it was only 10 villas. So I was like, how hard can it be? It's fine. I've done the whole program, and I went through valet and housekeeping and laundry and concierge and communications and reception. I can definitely do that. And now that I'm promoted and I have a title, I'm sure I'll work less than what I did to prove to them that I deserve this title. Again, for the 100th time, you're going to hear me say in this lecture, I was wrong. And it is okay to be wrong, but it's not okay to not learn from the mistake that I've done, so many times. But I'm here to tell you not to repeat it as I did. It's one time, and you need to learn that it's always going to be the same thing. So from one time, you have to say, I'm putting my foot down. This is it. Something needs to change. I need to have some time for myself. So I had way more responsibilities when I was promoted, and I was in charge of the resort, and it was just very overwhelming. And at the time I was dating, and I couldn't even see my boyfriend, let alone go on dates and go on trips. And he would be going on all these amazing trips, and I would just be like, yeah, I just got to work. I worked till 9 today. Have an amazing time on your trip. So you need to understand when to say something is wrong and it needs to be different and something needs to change. Whether this change is going to be in your personal life, maybe how you handle your schedule on a personal note, but also definitely on a professional life. And you need to tell your boss or your mentor or whomever you report to at work, listen, I have already made plans for next week, so I'm definitely taking my off. There's no way you can call me on my scheduled days off because I will not be here. And you need to commit to that. So the how is make a plan. I know it sounds very cliche, but it is what it is. You have to make a plan, and you have to say, I'm listening to myself and I'm following my plan. And if this plan prioritizes your career and your professional life, then maybe this is where you're at in your life right now. And this is the stage that you're in. And that's completely fine. But if it's not that, and if it's prioritizing both, then the plan needs to include 50-50. It needs to include personal time. It needs to include your hobbies. It needs to include family and friends. It needs to include your partner. And it also needs to include your career.